Hello and welcome to God I Hear You. I'm your host, Renee, and today's title is What's Your Silent Battle? We're going to open up by reading from the book of Psalms, chapter 32, verses 3 through 4, and it reads, When I kept silent, my bones wasted away through my groaning all day long. For day and night your hand was heavy on me. My strength was sapped as in the heat of summer. What is your silent battle? We all have silent battles. Some of us are fighting for our health. Some of us are fighting the battle of the mind. Some of us are fighting for the will to live. Some of us are fighting just to make ends meet. And some of us are fighting battles that are so dark, so lonely, so uncomfortable that we stay silent and we don't seek out the help we need. Some of us rather suffer than to voice what is consuming us. But that is exactly what the enemy wants. The enemy wants to keep you silent. He wants nothing but to steal, kill, and destroy your soul. But we serve a mighty Father who is strong in battle, who knows your silent battles, who hears your silent cries. He wants you to give it over to him. He wants you to seek the help that you need. He wants us to voice how we are feeling, voice when we need help, voice what we are carrying. He does not want us to be silent. He does not want us to be silenced by the enemy. So we have to cry out to him, cry out for help, and don't stay silent. So whatever you are going through, just know that God can and will see you through. Just tell him. God already knows what you're going through, but he wants to have that relationship with you. He wants to help you. He wants to build you up. So you have to talk to him. Tell him. It doesn't matter how dark it is, how lonely it makes you feel, how embarrassed you are by it. Tell him what's going on. Say, God, I am struggling. I need your help. Can you help me? We have to be confident. We have to trust. Nothing is too dark for God. Nothing is too dark for God. God will give us exactly what we need when we need it. God can heal and deliver you. God can supply community to help you. God can send messages through people that will uplift your spirit. God is not in a low demand of how he can supply for your needs. And sometimes I just think and I imagine to myself, what would happen if instead of fighting silently, people said, no, I'm going to go get the help I need. I'm going to go to church. I'm going to go to a center for help. I'm going to tell someone close to pray for me. Tell someone what I'm going through. How many people would be saved by that? How many people wouldn't self-harm? How many people wouldn't struggle with their identity? How many marriages would be restored? How many people wouldn't entertain evil thoughts and do the wrong things? But why do people stay silent? Why do people not seek out the help that they need? And I know some of us stay silent because we're embarrassed. We're thinking that no one's going to understand. We're thinking that we're going to get judged. But that's the thing. Whatever the obstacle is, whatever it is that's making you stay silent is the ultimate plan of the enemy. He wants you to be stuck in your pain, secluded in your pain. And he wants to silence your voice because if he silence your voice, he silence you. He silence your breakthrough. Don't let silence, don't let embarrassment, don't let judgment, whatever it is that you're thinking, stop you from getting the help you need. Don't stay stuck in silence. When I was around the age of 13, I experienced my first known battle of the mind. And I consider this, and I know it is spiritual warfare of the mind. And I remember one day I woke up and I remember waking up and feeling completely different. It was like something shifted in the atmosphere. It didn't feel the same as like my regular waking up. Something was off. And I woke up and instantly I started having thoughts just back to back to back, nonstop, as if someone's talking in your ear and just not stopping. And I remember the first thought was about the existence of God. And it was just consuming me that God was not real, and just going down this whole web of God's not real because of this. It was just so much. And at the age of 13, where I am grounded in my faith, my parents have equipped me, they have been putting me in church, and that was something that I loved and brought me joy. To hear that constantly was bringing me pain. It was putting me in a state of just feeling so overwhelmed, like my mind was on overload and it couldn't stop. And I remember just saying to myself, like, what is this new thing that's happening? I don't like this. It was making me depressed. It was making me down. It was making me feel so silent that I just wanted to stay by myself, stay in my room, because I just couldn't handle the noise. And over time, I started fighting back in the mind, and I'm like quoting stuff like, God is real. But it's like, imagine fighting your mind. It's a dark and lonely place to be. And the thoughts continued. The thoughts just, after I would knock off one battle and be like, I ain't letting that get to me, it would intensify. Things would intensify. Things that shifted into homosexuality. I started thinking about that, and and these are not my thoughts. I knew they weren't my thoughts. I knew it was an attack of the enemy. And I'm so grateful that my parents equipped me to know God's voice and knowing the enemy's voice. From a very young age, I was able to identify that this was not of God. This was not me. And so I'm fighting this, and I'm feeling embarrassed. I'm feeling like, why are these thoughts coming? Why are these thoughts coming? And I said to myself, you know what? I cannot fight this by myself. I need help. And I remember there were multiple points where I would be struggling, and I would reach out to my brother, I'd reach out to my mom, and I would really let them know what was going on. And obviously they would support me, they would pray for me and just be supportive of me. And that's the thing. Others would just stay and be stuck in the battle. But you have to voice what's going on. You have to seek out help. It's okay to seek out help sometimes. And so I remember there was a particular moment where I was going through it, and I'm young, and I was like, you know what? I was getting upset. I'm like, I'm gonna go pray. I'm gonna go pray. And I remember going outside, because there's something about being outside and being in nature that just makes you feel closer to God. For me in particular. And I feel like that about water too. Like when I'm close to water, I just feel like a peace. And I remember going outside, and I'm praying like at this young age, like I am a seasoned prayer warrior. It was like something came over me to pray like that. And I remember that it was like that was the shifting point. Things were silenced after that. Everything was silenced. And I was like, "Ooh, I'm starting to enjoy my high school. I'm living good again. And I'm not even thinking about those thoughts that were plaguing me at one point, because now I'm in a good spot." And that's the thing about the enemy. Sometimes you can fight a battle and it will come back with full vengeance. There was a year, and this year I will never forget this year, in the year of 2017. So I had a bit of a stretch where it was silent. And 2017, out of nowhere, it was like the same sort of feeling. And I remember laying in bed, and I said to my mom, something's coming. Something's coming. It was almost like I could feel it in the spiritual, that I was feeling what was happening in the spiritual, in the physical. And I said to my mom, like, something's coming. And she's looking at me like, what? And I'm like, I don't want to speak it over myself, but I felt something coming. Similar to like how that first moment back when I was 13, I felt that uneasiness. Here I am, and I'm roughly at the age of like 22, 23 now. And I'm starting to feel that feeling again. 2017, the spiritual warfare, it came in with a full vengeance. It came in, it was so heavy, it was so dark, the thoughts intensified, and I knew it was not me. But even with knowing it's not me, I felt like I was being tormented nonstop. The thoughts were about self harm, the harm of others, evil, dark, not me. And this time around, it was a little different because the thoughts were different. And I said to myself, oh, this is embarrassing. This is dark. Who can I turn to? Who can I run to? Who can I share this with that's not going to be scared of me? Who's not going to judge me? The tactic of the enemy was to keep me silent, to steal my peace, kill my joy, and ultimately destroy me. But God, even in those moments, God literally hears our silent cries. He hears it. There was a moment, we're still in the same year, 2017. I'm working as a receptionist, and I absolutely love that job. I was working as a receptionist. This day, I'm going through it bad. And if you know what a reception does, is they have to be like, "Hi, how are you? Thank you for coming." So I am internally feeling like I can't even explain it. I'm feeling drained. I'm feeling so dark. I'm feeling so like I'm fighting. But here I am having to put on a face and be nice to people and talk to people, greet people. And it's a constant flow of people. So it's very overwhelming to do an outpour when you feel like you need to be poured in internally. So I'm going through it. And there was a copy room behind where the station that I worked. And I remember I was going back and forth in that copy room to cry. I'm crying. I'm praying to God, like, help, help, help. I am struggling. I'm struggling. I'm struggling. I'm struggling. And it wasn't that I was struggling like I wanted to do any of this. I just felt like my mind was not my mind and I was not in control. I felt so weary and burdened. So here I am calling out to God in the copy room. I'm like, God, I can't live like this. This is too much. This is too much, God. I need help. And I go back outside to the reception area. I'm, recouping myself, trying to get right. And all of nowhere, one of my coworkers, Janae, walks in. She's in her regular clothes. She's not scheduled for today. So I'm like, what's she doing here? So, hey, how you doing? And I said, what you doing here? And she said to me, I was driving by work and something told me to go in and check on you and see if you needed company. That was God. That was God hearing my silent cries, hearing me call out to him, knowing the battle. He sent someone to just be there and talk to me and comfort me. And she didn't know what I was going through, but she listened to the voice of God and came in on her day off just to check on me. We serve a mighty God. We serve a mighty God. And I remember just feeling so grateful. She didn't, and I'm like, I didn't tell her what I was going through, but I was just so grateful and grateful to God that in that moment, He saw that it was a day. It was a day, and I needed Him more than ever. And He sent one of the most pure. She had such a nice personality to just come sit with me, come talk, come make me laugh, come chill out. And she stayed for the entire shift, my entire shift. Nothing but God. He hears our silent cries. He hears our cries for help. He knows our silent battles. He knows what we're going through. We just got to talk to Him, ask Him for help. And after that moment, I ended up saying, I gotta fight back harder. I gotta fight back harder. I can't let this get me. I'm more than a conqueror. I'm more than this. I'm more than this. And so at that point, I started having some really challenging conversations. I remember I reached out to some of my close friends and I told them that I was going through depression. And that's because a seasonal depression. That's what I said in particular. And although that was not the whole story, I just knew at that moment they wouldn't be ready to receive what I was actually going through. And you have to use your discernment to know what people can handle. And so I told them that, and they were very supportive of me. I had friends sending me positive things, praying for me, sending me love, sending me encouragement. And yeah, so I ended up breaking my silence, and I was sharing with my brother and my mom what exactly I was going through at this point. And obviously, their prayers and their support was just such a blessing to me. I ended up reaching out for counseling with my local pastor at that time. I ended up talking to my supervisors at my job, and I said, I might need some time off just for my mental health. And they were super supportive of me. They were, one had even wrote me encouraging words. It was just like me breaking my silence allowed for an opportunity for me to feel uplifted, for me to feel poured back into once I broke my silence. And I didn't share everything with everyone, but I still said I needed help. And they were giving me the help that I need in their best way. So, in particular, I had a friend, she's still my friend, Lizzie, who was at the school of Bethel. And I said to myself, you know what? I want to visit my friend anyway. I need this time off. But I also was so inspired by some of the stories that she shared me about, like her experience at the church. And I was like, I feel like my spirit would really would really benefit from that. And I just would love to be in that environment. So I ended up booking up a flight, and I ended up going out to California to visit her. So we're in Redding, California, and she's going to this school named Bethel, but it also has a church. So I was going to the church, and when I tell you, even the other day, God placed it on my heart to go back and listen to some of the prophetic words that were spoken over me by some of the individuals that were part of that church. And some of the words that they spoke to me, even not knowing my situation, it was like God was confirming, I'm with you. There were people coming to me saying, you're not handicapped, you're not broken, you carry strength. And those are the things that I needed because I was feeling broken. I was feeling not whole. I was feeling weak, and they were pouring into me. It's like the Spirit of God was just speaking to them, not telling them exactly what I was going through, but telling them exactly what I needed. And that was such a blessing to me. And I felt like from that moment, I really started to say, you know what, this is an important part. Like I need the battle of the mind. That's the thing. Some of us don't understand that the enemy really uses our mind as his number one playing field. That's his number one tactic to break someone down. So you have to be discerning of the voices and the thoughts, because some thoughts are not your thoughts. Some thoughts are not of God. You have to discern that. So being there in that moment and getting that, spiritual uplifting really inspired me to seek God more and, fight more and understand what was exactly going on and how to fight in the spirit, how to pray, those sort of things. And so with that, I was encouraged and I wasn't silent anymore. I felt like I had support. I felt like I had community that was there to just help uplift me. And that's the thing. That's the whole message for today. You need to get the help that you need. You need to cry out to God. You need support sometimes. Sometimes these battles we can't do on our own because we're not fighting against flesh and blood. We're fighting against spirits and principalities. So we have to know who our real enemy is and how to fight against it. There's a woman in the Bible by the name of Hannah. And Hannah is so inspiring to me. She was the mother of Samuel. And Samuel is one of the greatest prophets in the Bible. And so, just to tell you some context, Hannah was married to Elkanah. And I hope I'm pronouncing it right because there's one thing about me and names. So, Hannah was married to Elkanah. But Elkanah had two wives. He had Hannah and he had Peninnah. And so at a certain point, Peninnah had children, right? And Hannah had no children. She was struggling with infertility, right? She was struggling. She could not have kids, and that is what was consuming her on a daily, I don't know if it was a daily basis, but it was consuming her. It was consuming her mind. It put her in a sad, depressive state. And so the husband was very supportive of her. And there was times in the year where they would go out and do a sacrifice. So let me read to you what it says. And so this is in 1 Samuel chapter 1. It says in verse 3, "Now this man used to go up year by year from his city to worship and to sacrifice to the Lord of hosts at Shiloh." And so her husband would go up to sacrifice, and he would bring portions of sacrifice for his wife Peninnah, and he would give portions to Hannah to sacrifice. And he would give Hannah a double portion because he knew what she was going through. He knew that her womb was closed. And so let me read verse 4 for you. It says, "On the day when Elkanah sacrificed, he would give portions to Peninnah, his wife, and to all her sons and daughters. But to Hannah, he gave a double portion because he loved her through the Lord, and through the Lord had closed her womb." So her womb was closed. She was not able to conceive. And obviously it was something that was paining her. But he knew it bothered her. So there's something to learn there too, is expressing how you're feeling, right? In verse 6 and 7, this is vital. It says, and this is Hannah. And her rival used to provoke her grievously to irritate her because the Lord had closed her womb. So it went on year by year. As often as she went up to the house of the Lord, she used to provoke her. Therefore, Hannah wept and would not eat. So the other wife, Peninnah, is basically saying, "Aha, Hannah, you can't have no kids," and is really irritating her. And I want us to stay here for a little bit, right? There's so much to unpack here. So Hannah obviously is open with her battle. Her battle right now is the fact that her womb is closed and she's not able to have kids. Her husband knows this, the other wife knows that, and she is grieved about this. And so even though this is something that you would think like someone would be sensitive about, the other wife is using this to her advantage to make fun of Hannah and to cause her pain. Because, two wives, they probably have a rivalry, like, I'm the better wife, you're not the better wife, etc. And when I look at that, of how someone was making fun of someone else's battle, I think about how we are in today's society on why people do stay silent in their battles. Because there are Peninnahs of the world. There are people that you'll tell them something, they'll make fun of you, they're laughing at you, they're judging you, they're not helping you. But if we are to stay silent because of Peninnahs, we're giving them the win. And we are not to give them the win. So don't stay silent. That is so important. Don't care about the haters. The haters, the Peninnahs, are always going to be there. Don't stay silent because of judgment and embarrassment or people making fun of you. Get the help that you need. And Hannah knew that. Hannah knew that. Let me tell you what Hannah did. So in verse 9, it says, after they had eaten and drunk in Shiloh, Hannah rose. Now Eli, the priest, was sitting on the seat beside the doorpost of the temple of the Lord. She was deeply distressed and prayed to the Lord and wept bitterly. And she vowed a vow and said, O Lord of hosts, if you will indeed look on the affliction of your servant and remember me and not forget your servant, but will give to you a servant son. So she's saying she's going to get, like, if she gets a son, she's just saying, but will give to your servant a son. That's what she's seeking. She wants a son. Then I will give him to the Lord all the days of his life, and no razor shall touch his head. So she's saying, God, hey, God, please, if you give me a son, I'll give him back to you. I just want a son, and I'll give him back to you to serve you, and I will not let a razor touch his head. She's like dedicating the child back to God. As she continued to pray in verse 12, as she continued praying before the Lord, Eli observed her mouth. Hannah was speaking in her heart, only her lips moving, and her voice was not heard. Therefore, Eli took her to be a drunken woman. And Eli said to her, how long will you go on being drunk? Put your wine away from you. But Hannah answered, no, my Lord, I am a woman troubled in spirit. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but I am pouring out my soul before the Lord. Wow. You mean to tell me Hannah is in front of the priest, which is Eli. She is weeping. She is crying out to God. She is not staying silent in her battle. She is saying, God, I need you. God, this is what I'm going through. And God, if you do this, I will do this. Please, God, please. She's pleading to the point that she is appearing to be drunk by others because she is crying and she is weeping so bitterly and praying so fervently that she appears to be drunk when she's not. So she's responding to him like, no. I'm not drunk. I'm crying out to the Lord. And I loved her boldness. Even in that moment, she wasn't even silent because she could have just said, oh, I'm not drunk. And that was it. And she could have just said, I'm not drunk. I'm just, I'm going through it. Right. But she said, I'm not drunk. I am troubled in spirit. She made it known that she was going through something. She wasn't keeping anything in. A lot of us can learn from Hannah. Speak out. Get help. The text continues, right? And she says, so I'm going to go back to 15. It says, but Hannah answered, no, my Lord, I am a woman troubled in spirit. I haven't drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but I have been pouring out my soul before the Lord. Do not regard your servant as a worthless woman. For all along, I have been speaking out of my great anxiety and vexation. Then Eli answered, go in peace, and the God of Israel grant your petition that you have made to him. And she said, let your servant find favor in your eyes. Then the woman went her way and ate, and her face was no longer sad. So Eli, the priest, is like, okay, go in peace. He is giving her encouragement, but also interceding. He's like, God, hear her cries and give her the petition. Now that he knows, he wants to help her. You see what we do when we cry out, we say we need help, we tell others what's going on. They can help you. They can intercede with you and on your behalf. Go get the help that you need. And the last text, that it was so peaceful to me when it said, then the woman went her way and ate, and her face was no longer sad. It was almost like a peace came over her, like, it's in God's hand. That battle is in God's hands. He heard my cries. Wow. Powerful. Powerful. Later in the text, in verses 19, I'm going to read to you what it says. And it says, and Elkanah knew Hannah, his wife, and the Lord remembered her. And in due time, Hannah conceived and bore a son, and she called his name Samuel, for she said, I have asked for him from the Lord. Wow. God hears our silent battles. We have to look at Hannah. She had someone making fun of her, making her feel even worse about the battle she was going through, but she didn't let that stop her. She didn't let the haters stop her. We can learn so much about Hannah. She was focused on the battle. She was focused on getting the help that she needed. She didn't care about the noise. She didn't care about how she was viewed. She didn't care if the priest thought she was drunk. She just knew she needed help, and she was crying out. She wasn't staying silent. We have to be more like Hannah, seeking help, not staying silent. The enemy is always trying to find new ways, new people, new things to silence you, but you must fight against his attacks. Recently, I started feeling the same way I was feeling back in 2017. I was dealing with the spiritual mental warfare yet again. And I got into a state where I said, God, why are you allowing this to happen again? You must not love me. You must not love me. And I started to feel unloved. And that was an attack of the enemy to make me feel unloved. And I'm going through it. And I know naturally sometimes when I'm going through something, I do stay secluded. I do stay in my own cave, and I'm going through it. And I'll reach out for prayer, stuff like that. But I'm really fighting silently. And this day, I remember, this is very recent. I remember this day in particular, I was just so sad. I was just sitting on the floor, and I'm like, God, I'm crying. And I said, God, if you really love me, have someone text me that they love me. And I know that's like, you're probably like, what, Renee? What? You know God loves you. But I just needed it. I needed it. And that was a cry out to him. It was a cry out to him. I needed some inpouring. Literally minutes later, I get a text from my mom. I love you. And I started weeping because I knew, mind you, my mom tells me she loves me all the time, but I knew in this timing, it was more than just my mom saying, I love you. It was God saying through my mom, I love you. You just asked for that. You asked me to tell you I love you, and I'm telling you through your mom via text, I love you. So it made me feel overwhelmed. And then for some reason, she just kept going in. She's going in. She's like, you are this, she's like speaking life into me. And this is what I love about you. It was like God. And so I said to her, and I ended up reaching out, and I was like, Mom, what made you text me I love you? And what made you continue? What made you continue to just pour into me? And she said, I just felt it in my spirit. That was God. God was telling her. And it was the timing of it was in minutes. God heard my cry. He knew I was fighting that battle that was trying to silence me. Family and friends, I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what silent battle you are fighting, but hold on, cry out to God for relief. Cry out to God to help you. Ask God to put you in spaces where people will be able to help you. Just go to him. Tell him what you need. Do not let the enemy silence you. Do not let the enemy silence you. When you seek, you will find. Do not be silent. God hears us. He knows our silent battles. Have a relationship with him. Talk to him. Don't be scared about what you're going through. Don't think it's too dark. Don't think it's too ugly. There are battles that we need to seek God. We need to say we need help. So do not be silent. That's the message for today. Take care.